this morning for you on Daybreak.
I don't think the hype is going to stop until the Super Bowl. It's Tuesday, January 21st. Welcome back into the show. I'm Lauren Barnes.
And I'm Joe Morano. A lot to get to over the next 2 weeks for them. Long 2 weeks for Chiefs fans. Just bask in it and enjoy the coverage.
It'll go by quick. They'll use the time down to the last second to practice and look at plays and everything, I'm sure. That'll
be pretty great to see as they're getting ready and heading down to Miami. A lot of people here probably wish they were going to Miami. Tough ticket to get in general, let alone for a Super Bowl.
Expensive ticket to get.
Even without the Super Bowl, it's 17 degrees. Doesn't everybody want to be in Miami
right
now?
That's what I'm saying. It's still hard to get there regardless. And now with the game, even harder, but hey. Chiefs will be down, that's what matters, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. This morning, starting off quite a bit cold, though, huh?
Yeah, it's only 17 degrees out there. Another really frigid start, just like yesterday. Temperatures aren't really too far off from where they were. It is a southerly wind this morning at 6 miles per hour. That will eventually help us later, but again, this morning it's making things pretty cold. We've got a couple of clouds out there this morning, but we are dry, not seeing any rain or snow out there. Again, temperatures are about where they were at yesterday, a little bit warmer to the east, but still in the teens. It's 16 in Fort Leonard, 17 in Springfield, and 19 degrees in Monette this morning. Winds are starting to shift to the south, and those southerly winds will help us warm up today. But this morning, we still have wind chills in the single digits. It feels like 9 in Springfield, and in Rolla, 6 is your real feel in Fort Leonard. So another morning where it's pretty frigid to start. Make sure you bundle up, dress in layers. Do not forget those gloves. We do have some slick conditions to the east and northeast where it snowed yesterday. Otherwise, we'll have dry roads through the afternoon with some sunshine. Temperatures finally making it above freezing at 37 degrees by dismissal. We'll have that cold sunshine today. A wintry mix arrives by tomorrow, and multiple rain and snow chances are in the 7-day. Details on that in 10 minutes.
And that winter weather has caused some problems for our northeastern counties. A major traffic slowdown near Phillipsburg after 2 separate crashes happened on I-44. In one crash, a semi went off the road. Another car spun out in the middle of the highway. It took crews hours to clear that up. And then down the street on I-44, there were cars backed up for miles while crews worked to clear another scene. Just another warning to always make sure to use caution when driving in this bad winter weather.
And as you wake up this morning, some of those roads are still covered to our north and east.
Let's pull up the MoDOT Travelers map for you to look at some of these conditions. The Springfield area, at the moment, if you scroll down there, is green, which means roads are clear. But we've got parts of Laclede, Camden, Wright, Texas, and Pulaski counties with partially covered. You see that there.
Also, if you live in Waynesville, Crocker, or Camdenton, or need to drive through there, be careful. Those areas appear to be the most covered this morning. That's also why right now about 25 rural districts will not have class today. That number, though, is constantly changing.
Most of them are in the counties that had snow yesterday, so check those school closings, ozarksfirst.com, and on the bottom of your screen right now before you get set this morning. Click under the Weather tab to find them online. Moving on now in your right to know, a head-on collision in Branson West has killed 1 person. The wreck happened on Business Highway 13 just after 3:30 yesterday. Police say 2 vehicles hit head-on, with one landing on its side, trapping the driver. That person survived. The driver of the other car did not.
And a woman from Seymour was found dead near Seymour yesterday. The Highway Patrol says 65-year-old Rebecca Tavares was killed from a car crash sometime between Sunday night and Monday morning. Troopers say her car struck a fence post on Highway BB and overturned in a field. Tavares was ejected and trapped under the vehicle. She was not wearing a seatbelt. Once her body was found, she was pronounced dead at the scene.
In some political coverage for you, the impeachment trial against President Trump begins today at noon. Last week, Speaker Nancy Pelosi presented the 2 articles of impeachment to the Senate to begin the trial. Once ground rules are voted on, opening statements begin. House managers and the president's legal team will both be given 2 days for opening arguments. After that, there will be a vote whether to consider witnesses. Democrats hope 4 Republicans will convince Majority Leader Mitch McConnell to allow witness testimony during that trial, which is something that he's been opposed to. Our political analyst, Dr. Brian Calfano, says he doesn't expect this trial to last very long, though.
Bare brass, bare knuckle time here. I think it comes down to a couple weeks. Go through the process, treat it reverently, and then have that vote, which I think everyone expects will be nowhere near close in terms of getting President Trump out of office, so he'll be acquitted.
Now, the president's defense team filed a brief yesterday saying abuse of power and obstruction of Congress are not impeachable offenses. They also say the impeachment process did not allow the president to defend himself.
Also making news this morning, some Springfield youth are learning about influential African Americans, such as historical figures, world leaders, and athletes.
It's all part of the third annual Black History Month art contest. Color 10's Nigel McDonald visited the Boys and Girls Club of Springfield for the contest kickoff and is in studio this morning to explain the competition.
Well, good morning, Lauren and Joe. The children I met with might be young, but they say equality and justice for all is important, which they're expressing through art. Well, like Harriet Tubman to President Barack Obama.
He just wanted to change the world and how people were treating each other.
Springfield youth are learning about the African American community and its impact on society.
You are celebrating Black people and how they changed the world.
Through an art contest, students will create a portrait of an influential African American of their choice.
A leader is someone who is a good role model in believing in people who follow them and having trust in what they're doing.
April Myers is a local college student who volunteers at the Boys and Girls Club.
Definitely being here with them, it gives them a lot of support, and it also motivates them that even if you are here right now in whatever state that you might be in, that doesn't mean that you have to stay in the situation that you're currently in.
Myers says it's important to honor those who came before us.
Not only people who are my age, but especially older, we're kind of realizing that the educational system kind of misses the opportunities to teach kids about Black culture, just like persons of color and their history.
Myers says all children deserve to have the opportunity to learn about.
Yeah, we're one of the largest cities in Missouri, but there's a lot of work to be done, and there's a lot that can't be done. It just takes for individuals to want to stand behind that and actually do the work.
Because after all, community is just
respecting each other and not being like rude to each other and helping out.
Well, that art contest will run through the month of February, with winners being selected at the beginning of March.
All right, thank you, Nija. You probably know by now, unless you've been living under a rock, that the Chiefs are heading down south for Super Bowl 54 in Miami. They, of course, beat the Titans Sunday night to win the AFC Championship. But this you might not know. A statistic has just been announced that Chiefs QB Patrick Mahomes now has officially become the #1 player on the NFL's merchandise sales list. He knocked off New England's Tom Brady.
Another win over Brady. It's always good. Bentonville football player is headed to the Super Bowl. Micah Johnson was diagnosed with lymphoma cancer 2 years ago. He's always wanted to attend that big game, and this year his dream is coming true. Students at Washington Junior High raised money through the Make-A-Wish Foundation to send he and his family down south.
I'm actually very pumped. It's something I've wanted to do ever, is go to Super Bowl.
We will also be with the Kansas City Chiefs every step of the way on the road to Miami.
Plenty to do from now until then. In 1 week, we'll take you through the stories happening in Miami for you. And then, of course, we've also got special broadcasts, right?
On our sister station, KRBK, and digital streaming programs, also on ozarksfirst.com.
Super Bowl 54 is February 2nd. That kickoff is 5:30 right here on Ozarks Fox.
Still ahead for you this morning, some people are calling for an investigation into Tesla.
The company is defending itself. We'll explain how coming up in your Money Watch.
From Color 10 Ozarks First, Lauren Barnes, Joe Morano, and weather with meteorologist Elisa Raffa. This is Color 10 News Daybreak. Now weather with meteorologist Elisa Rafa.
It was cold out there yesterday. We only hit a high of 18 degrees at Lake of the Ozarks, 20 in Rolla, and 20 at Fort Leonard Wood. But we were able to hit the 40s down to the south and west. That's because there was much more sunshine here. And then up to the north and east is where we got some of that snow to accumulate. So that kept us a little bit colder. We had those totals about an inch or less. Camdenton got just about an inch and a half. Cole Camp, 1 inch of snow there. Lebanon, almost an inch. And then nothing in Springfield. This snow really confined itself to those communities to the east and northeast where things might still be slick this morning. Check the school closings on the bottom of your screen. 17 degrees right now in Springfield. We've got a couple of clouds and southerly winds, but temperatures still starting out cold, more or less where they were yesterday. A few degrees warmer to the east, but again, 17 degrees, still pretty cold. It's 16 in Fort Leonard Wood, 18 in Rolla, and 17 degrees in Springfield. Winds are shifting to the south. That southerly wind will help us warm up today, but this morning it's still putting wind chills in the single digits. It feels like 9 in Springfield, 8 at Lake of the Ozarks, and 9 is your real feel in Rolla. So again, it's cold out there. Bundle up this morning. We've got wind chills sub-zero up to the north with that Arctic air and that Arctic high still in play. It's directly over the Ozarks this morning, and that's what's keeping us cold. Now what happens today is it starts to nudge to the east a little bit. That will have us tap into the southerly winds, and we start to thaw out a little bit with those temperatures finally going above freezing with sunshine. So a nice and a little bit warmer day today. Then the next thing that we've got to watch is all this unsettled weather back to the west and southwest. This is going to be the first piece of our next storm that brings us multiple chances for rain, snow, and wintry mix through Friday. So again, that's piece 1, and it arrives by tomorrow morning. So here's that futurecast hour by hour. Really quiet today, sunny, temperatures still a little bit below average in the middle and upper 30s, but at least we'll be above freezing. Overnight, we'll increase the cloud cover. By sunrise tomorrow, we'll start to find some of that wintry mix to snow along the I-49 corridor, and then it pulls east into the Ozarks as we head through the afternoon. And you see these colors? We've got some blues, some pinks, and greens. I think it's going to be a messy mix of everything because we'll have those temperatures borderline just around freezing, if not a little bit warmer. So that will give us a wintry mix, a little bit of a cold rain, maybe some snowflakes mixing in there, and that will happen as we head through the afternoon on Wednesday. Again, that's just the first piece, right? So it arrives by tomorrow morning. We'll have that piece of the wintry mix to a cold rain again on Thursday. Then as the whole system tries to exit on Friday, it wraps around cold air, and depending on the track, we could get a little bit more in the way of snow as we head into Friday before all of this exits. So what to expect here? A wintry mix arrives by sunrise tomorrow morning. We'll warm up to a cold rain in the afternoon. Then more or less the same thing on Thursday, that mix to rain. But then we could have some of that cold air start to arrive, changing us to a snow later on in the afternoon and evening. Maybe a chance of snow on Friday, depending on the storm track. I expect this back and forth of precipitation types between daytime and nighttime as those temperatures get a little bit colder at night, then warm up during the day, and then go back and forth. So because we'll have this change constant back and forth, there's really low confidence in snow totals or ice totals. It's really hard to pin that down right now. So stay tuned for more details on that, but expect just a messy mix the next couple of days. 37 degrees today, some cold sunshine and steady southerly winds. 27 overnight, increasing clouds and breezy southerly winds. We'll have that messy mix tomorrow, a wintry mix to a cold rain with those temperatures just at or maybe a little bit above freezing. Mostly the same thing on Thursday, possibly a little bit colder for snow later on in the day. A chance of snow on Friday, dry but colder this weekend.
President Trump is in Davos, Switzerland today for the 50th Annual World Economic Forum. The president said he wants to encourage businesses to come back to the United States. After delivering opening remarks, he will spend 2 days meeting with world leaders and corporate executives. Before leaving for his 2-day trip, Mr. Trump spoke with French President Emmanuel Macron about a digital tax that Paris is planning. Macron said it was a great discussion. The two countries will hold off on hiking tariffs this year while they negotiate the tax. It would apply a 3% levy on tech giants like Google's parent company Alphabet, Facebook, and Apple. Tesla is pushing back against allegations its electric vehicles can suddenly accelerate on their own. In a blog post on its website, the company calls it, quote, completely false, and says the petition for an investigation was brought by a Tesla short seller. Investor Brian Sparks claims there is a higher rate of complaints for Teslas than other vehicles. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is reviewing the petition. And that's your CBS Money Watch report. For more, head to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the New York Stock Exchange, I'm Diane King Hall.
Up next in sports, are you tired of talking about the Chiefs?
Come on, of course not.
Me neither.
A lot to break down between now and February 2nd. We'll take a look at how Travis Kelce and everyone feels about their quarterback when we return.
You really can't say it enough. The Chiefs are going to play in the biggest game in American professional football. Kansas City making its third appearance, first since the '69 season, while taking on the 49ers in their seventh appearance, first since 2012. The tides of the game certainly turned in the second quarter when the Chiefs completed the comeback. Instead of going out of bounds on this play, Patrick Mahomes cuts back upfield, lowers the shoulder at the goal line. Chiefs getting the lead and never looking back. Mahomes actually led the team in rushing yards on Sunday and had as many rushing touchdowns as Derrick Henry and Damian Williams. Many finding a way to describe the run for number 15. Most went the route of a magician or an alien.
Magic Mahomes, that's the best way you can explain it. I mean, I was excited as anybody else to be able to cap off that 2-minute drill with Pat getting in the end zone.
I was in the moment, but just to see him slither and slide and run a guy over, that's a guy that you need on your team to continue to win games and be in this position right now that we're in.
As I got to the sideline, I realized that I could cut up, and I was running down the sideline, and I knew we had 2 timeouts, so I was like, I might as well try to cut it back. And so I cut it back, and luckily was able to hang on to the ball and get in the end zone.
The Highway 13 catfight went down for the second time this season last night, with the series shifting to Bolivar. Drury has owned the series on the women's side, but the last time they played in Bolivar, the Bearcats pulled the upset. This year, Lauren Holmes determined not to let that happen again. First quarter, Holmes with a steal takes it the other way and finishes at the rim. Drury takes a 16-9 lead on the Bearcats, but SBU would hold close early thanks in big part to Kylie Vaught. Following possession, she knocks down the three. Bearcats back within single digits, but Holmes says, I can do that as well. Late second, she banks home a triple. Holmes a perfect 4 for 4 from three in the first half. She finishes with a career-high 20 points as Drury tops SBU 95-64.
Any player is capable of scoring 20 any night, but they might only get 20 minutes. And so Lauren can do that. We started calling her the layup queen because she was just shooting threes, and then to get some layups in there, it really opened up our game and our offense. I was really proud of her.
On the men's side, Brady Smith's 29 points propelled the Bearcats to an 82-74 win. That's a look at your morning sports.
Alrighty, so we are looking at Miami for the Super Bowl a lot, but we're not looking at Miami temperatures up here for a while. Maybe in June.
Or August at this rate. It is cold out there this morning, very much like yesterday, where we're starting out in the teens, so you'll need to bundle up out there. It is only 18 degrees in Branson with the dry roads and a couple of clouds out there. Temperatures are more or less where they were yesterday, maybe a few degrees warmer, but I mean, we're still in the teens in most spots. It is 17 degrees in Ava, 18 in Rolla, 15 at Lake of the Ozarks, and only 14 in Clinton. Winds are shifting to the south at 5 to 10 miles per hour, so we're finding wind chills still in the single digits this morning. It feels like 8 in Ava, 9 in Rolla, and 9 is your real feel in Springfield. So max warming needed on that coffee meter this morning. Make sure you bundle up and don't forget the gloves. Get your coffee hot and large today. A little bit warmer than yesterday. We'll get above freezing, but still below average, and cold, only 37 degrees today. So cold sunshine today and quiet. Temperatures in the middle and upper 30s. Overnight, we increase the clouds, and we'll have piece one of the next couple of pieces of these storms that we'll have roll through Friday. So tomorrow is, kind of part one of this. We're looking at a wintry mix arriving to the west by sunrise and then pulling east into the Ozarks through the afternoon. You see all the different blues and pinks and greens. That means we're probably looking at a messy mix, right? Some cold rain, maybe some sleet and freezing rain getting in there, maybe a few snowflakes depending on spots that might be a little bit colder. So just be careful and be prepared for at least isolated slick conditions on the roads. Temperatures stay cold through Friday. Highs in the 30s will be below average. So unfortunately, the heat doesn't get much of a break. I don't bother washing the car. If you really need to, today's your only day to do it, but you'll have probably more salt on it by the end of the week because we'll have this rounds of rain and or snow and or mix, right? So here's what to expect. A wintry mix arrives by sunrise tomorrow morning, right? It warms probably to a cold rain in the afternoon. Then another mix to rain on Thursday. We might have air cold enough to change it all to snow late Thursday into Friday. But I do expect this general back and forth of precipitation types, daytime versus nighttime. So we've got pretty low confidence in totals.
Coming up next, President Trump is overseas, but his impeachment trial here in the States begins today.
We'll have a look at the opening arguments of what to expect and what will be presented when we return here on Daybreak. Welcome back, everyone. President Trump is overseas in Switzerland today and tomorrow. He's at the World Economic Forum promoting U.S. business, actually making his opening remarks right now. In Washington, impeachment opening arguments get underway this afternoon in the Senate. Katherine Johnson is on Capitol Hill with our story today.
The Senate's impeachment trial of President Trump kicks off today with what's expected to be a hotly contested debate on the rules.
McConnell is hell-bent on making it much more difficult to get witnesses and documents.
Republican Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's proposal gives each side 24 hours over 2 days to make their opening statements. Then 16 hours are reserved for senators to submit written questions to both teams. It also does not admit the House evidence without a vote.
High octane for the United States Senate, and it's my hope that we'll push through that and have that motion to dismiss and get through this national nightmare as fast as possible.
Democrats need 4 GOP senators to vote with them if they want new witnesses to testify.
They should have called the witnesses in the House, and they failed to do that.
A new CNN poll finds 69% of Americans believe new witnesses should testify.
Mitch McConnell wants a fast trial, not a fair trial.
Throughout the trial, all eyes will be on a small number of moderate Republican senators, some up for re-election this November.
Getting this right and the fairness of our trial is so critically important.
Colorado's Cory Gardner is one of them.
Everybody wants to know exactly where we are and how I'm going to vote and how this is going to happen. But, you know, we have a trial.
Some Republicans have signaled they do want to hear from relevant witnesses, though the White House could claim executive privilege to block them from testifying. Katherine Johnson, CBS News, Washington.
If witnesses are called, it could extend the trial by a number of weeks. The White House would like to see the trial end before the State of the Union, which is 2 weeks from today. Still ahead for you this morning, a warning about algae at Lake Springfield.
Plus, new research shows a negative link between marijuana and heart disease. We'll tell you who's at risk next.
Good morning. My name is Kieran. I go to Weaver Elementary. Today is January 21st, and the lunch menu is orange popcorn chicken, corn dog, brown rice, California vegetables, and fresh apple slices. Goodbye. Have a good day.
Welcome back to Daybreak. It's Tuesday, January 21st. I'm Lauren Barnes.
And I'm Joe Morano as we are set to move along on this Tuesday morning. I got back from out of town yesterday. I was in New Jersey, the Northeast there. Still colder here, though, it felt like, when I got off the plane than there.
You were celebrating something really exciting, too. Tell them what you were doing.
My grandfather, Joe Morano, turned 95 years old. How do you like that?
That is incredible.
Is he your namesake?
Yes.
Okay.
World War II veteran and everything. How do you like that?
Wow.
So, happy birthday, Gramps.
Huge happy birthday to him.
Of course, yeah. I'm going to give him the shout out next hour, too, on the birthday
What would
segment.
Gramps say to you right now? Suck it up, Buttercup, with the cold?
Yes, with the cold for sure he would. Although he always says that he's always cold. So
Okay.
I think he'd be on my side at least, right? And it is a bit chilly out there. Well, it's chilly everywhere now, right?
You have the excuse today to complain because it is only, what is that now, 17 degrees in Springfield. We've got the clouds, we've got some southerly winds, but temperatures are still pretty cold as much as they were yesterday. It's 17 degrees in Springfield with those southerly winds and the clouds. We're mostly cloudy out there this morning. We're not finding any rain or snow out there though, and temperatures are more or less where they were yesterday, a little bit warmer to the east, but we're still in the teens. It's 16 degrees in Fort Leonard Wood, 17 in Springfield, and 17 degrees in Ava. Winds are shifting to the south, but we still have some wind chills in the single digits. It feels like 9 in Springfield, 8 in Ava, and 8 up at Lake of the Ozarks. So make sure that you're bundled up this morning. Cover those extremities, dress in layers, and do not forget the gloves. We still have some slick conditions to the east and northeast this morning from yesterday's snow, but otherwise dry conditions through the day today. We'll have sunshine and temperatures finally getting above freezing, 37 degrees by dismissal with the sunshine and still pretty cold. So we have that sunshine today. A wintry mix arrives by tomorrow. And we've got multiple rain and snow chances to talk about. We do that in 10.
We start this half hour with some more local news for you as firefighters quickly knock down flames at a vacant duplex in downtown Springfield near Grand and Robertson yesterday. At least one person was inside when that started. They got out, but firefighters were concerned that more people were stuck inside there. After a search, no one else was found and no one was injured. The battalion chief says there's been a recent string of vacant house fires, and if anyone has been displaced, there are options of shelter through local churches and the Salvation Army.
But there's still reasons that people won't get into those shelters, and then they'll get into a vacant home and try to stay warm. And as a result of unsafe practices, maybe, we're going to have vacant structure fires.
The home now has extensive smoke damage inside. The other part of the duplex, though, was not damaged.
If you float or fish at Lake Springfield, listen up. According to the Springfield News Leader, the body of water is now on the state's impaired waters list for the first time because of algae. Algae levels are higher than the EPA limits. A spokesperson for the Department of Natural Resources says the algae levels don't pose a threat to human activity, but can make it harder for aquatic animals to breathe and harder for some fish to see and catch prey. Experts say property owners can help by reducing chemicals in their own yards that run off and end up in the James River during heavy rains.
And our medical coverage for you, medical marijuana dispensaries in Northwest Arkansas could soon be growing their own product. According to Medical Marijuana Commission spokesperson Scott Hardin, 23 of the 32 licensed dispensaries in the state will be able to grow. That includes all 4 licensed dispensaries in Northwest Arkansas. Hardin says it will submit plans to the city next week. If approved, it will likely have product available by the end of summer. Akanza Health Group in Fayetteville says it's also on track to grow, and it could impact the price point.
Just supply and demand. I mean, once there's more product available, more strains available, obviously we'll be able to showcase that for the patients to see something a little different than what they've seen over this first 3 months. But again, when there is more on hand, it will drop in price eventually.
Eric Ludwig, who you just heard from, says pending inspection, it could be growing in the next few months, and there will be 24-hour security. Before a dispensary begins the grow process, green rooms are inspected and signed off on. Up to 50 marijuana plants can be grown on site.
Researchers have discovered about 2 million Americans with heart disease have used marijuana, even though it's a suspected risk factor. Data in 36 studies shows the top risk factors for heart attack are eating a heavy meal, using cocaine, and smoking marijuana. Some scientists believe smoking is just as dangerous for you as smoking cigarettes. Even though pot smokers tend to smoke less than tobacco users, researchers say they often hold the smoke in their lungs longer, which delivers more toxic chemicals to their bodies.
A new study indicates that commonly used drugs used for other conditions may be able to kill some kinds of cancer cells. The study found that dozens of drugs used to treat diabetes, osteoarthritis in dogs, or alcohol dependence inhibited cancer cells in lab experiments. Researchers examined the activity of more than 4,500 drugs across nearly 600 human cancer cell lines. They found 49 non-cancer drugs that selectively killed cancer cells and another 103 compounds that work against cancer cells but were less selective.
We've got another really cold start out there this morning. It's only 17 degrees in Springfield. Factor in that wind chill, and we've got wind chills in the single digits again out there this morning. It feels like 9 in Springfield. Details on a cold day ahead next. Good morning. It was cold out there yesterday. We only hit a high of 18 degrees up at Lake of the Ozarks, 20 in Rolla, but we were able to make it into the 40s down to the south and west. That's because areas in northwest Arkansas had more sunshine, and areas up to the east and northeast had some of that snow and hazardous road conditions. So that's where temperatures were colder. Snow totals were really about an inch or less, almost an inch and a half in Camdenton, 1 inch in Cole Camp, about 1 inch in Lebanon, and nothing in Springfield. So some pretty light totals, but it did create some trouble on the roads. Some of those areas still slick this morning. Check the bottom of your screen for those school closings. It's cold in Springfield again, only 17 degrees with some clouds and wind starting to go to the south. We're about the same as we were yesterday, a little bit warmer to the east, but we still have temperatures in the teens. It's 16 degrees in Fort Leonard Wood, 18 in Rolla, 15 at Lake of the Ozarks, and only 17 in Springfield. Here come these southerly winds. We'll have a steady southerly wind today, but this morning it is putting wind chills in the single digits again. It feels like 9 in Springfield, 6 at Fort Leonard Wood, and 9 is your real feel in Rolla. So that Arctic high still in play. The Arctic air still spilling south. We still have some sub-zero wind chills up to the north. So very cold here in the upper Midwest. The Arctic high is pretty much right over the Ozarks this morning, and that's what's keeping us pretty cold. Now, what happens today is it starts to nudge to the east, so we start to tap into the southerly winds, and those southerly winds will help us thaw out a little bit as we head through the day. Still staying below average, but at least will be above freezing. So quiet day today. Then the next thing that we have to watch is all of this unsettled weather back to the west and southwest. This is some of the first pieces of our next big storm that will have kind of take a couple of days to play out, but the first piece of this arrives by tomorrow morning. So hour by hour, we're looking at sunshine today. Temperatures still on the cool side, but at least a little bit warmer than yesterday, in the middle and upper 30s. Overnight, we'll increase that cloud cover. We'll have some of that rain snow mix start to arrive to the west. Then we're looking at it pushing eastward into the Ozarks by tomorrow afternoon. Some of it a wintry mix, some of it getting to a cold rain, and then some of it mixing with some snow, right? So that's, again, just one piece. We're looking at a similar situation on Thursday. Then as that main storm develops going into Friday, it looks like you could take with it some cold air where we might get some more snow as we head into late Thursday into Friday before all of this exits on Saturday. So what to expect here is that wintry mix arrives by sunrise, warms to a cold rain in the afternoon. Wintry mix to rain on Thursday, maybe changing to snow late. That would leave us with a chance of snow on Friday, depending on the track. Again, we're looking at back and forth with precipitation type between night and day as we flirt with freezing, go a little bit below freezing, then come back up. So that gives us some really low confidence in snow totals and ice totals, but I do expect a little bit of a mess out there, so just be careful for those isolated slick spots. 37 degrees today, mostly sunny on those southerly winds. 27 overnight, increasing clouds. We'll have that wintry mix to a cold rain tomorrow with temperatures just above freezing. Similar story on Thursday, but possibly changing to more of a snow. A chance of snow on Friday, staying chilly with the clouds on Saturday, warmer sunshine on Sunday.
Up next, a group of creators are trying to raise money to help those in Australia impacted by bushfires.
And President Trump and VP Pence make a surprise visit yesterday.
Around the nation, President Trump and Vice President Pence made an unscheduled visit to the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial on Monday. The visit was in recognition of Monday's holiday honoring Dr. King. The president also visited that site last year, but of course now he's in Switzerland for the World Economic Forum.
A woman was arrested during a pro-gun rally in Virginia yesterday for wearing a mask in public. Authorities in Richmond say 21-year-old Michaela Beschler had on a bandana that was covering her face. An officer asked her to adjust it twice. She was arrested when the officer saw her face covered for a third time. She was later released, though. Officials estimate 22,000 people attended the pro-gun rally, which was peaceful despite concerns about possible violence. Also coming up this week, a charity live stream hopes to help raise money for those impacted by Australia's bushfires.
A group called 1440 Makers will host a 24-hour live stream starting at 4 a.m. Saturday. They will be showing 3D models and other creative ideas throughout the stream, and once it's over, all donations will go to Give It.
It's an Australian nonprofit organization to help everyone, including animals impacted by the fires.
Very good to hear there. Still ahead to your entertainment news, a new Netflix recommendation.
Always looking for those. A 17-minute short film interrogates